There we go. Okay.
Call meeting to order. Would you please call the roll?
For the record, the State Highway Commission is assembled at the Best Western in North Platte, Nebraska. The date is Friday, August 27th, 2021, and the time is 8:30 a.m. Mr. Koppel.
Present.
Commissioner Grinsky.
Present.
Commissioner Leafgreen.
Here.
Commissioner Fagerland.
Here.
Commissioner Hawks.
Here.
Commissioner Wolford.
Here.
Commissioner Gertis. Absent. And Commissioner Kindig.
Here. Okay. Approval of the minutes from June 25th. So, second. Okay. Discussion. Call the roll, please.
Commissioner Koppel.
Yes.
Commissioner Grinsky.
Aye.
Commissioner Leafgreen.
Yes.
Commissioner Fagerland.
Yes.
Commissioner Hawks.
Yes.
Commissioner Wolford.
Yes.
And Commissioner Kindig.
Yes.
Approved.
Introductions and announcements. The only one that I know of is we want to welcome back Rusty Simmerall, the Federal Highways representative, now that he's out of COVID jail. They let him come to our meetings. So welcome back. Move right into the meeting business. We'll start with the director's remarks. Don?
All right, thank you. Morning, everyone. It's great to be here in North Platte. I haven't been here for a while. I used to have a sister-in-law who lived here. Worked for UP Fair Road. So got in here late last night. I had a meeting with the governor until about 5, so pulled in here around 9 o'clock or so. But it's great to be here. Sorry to miss the last meeting in Valentine. She had. I have several comments. Number one, we're continue to be extremely busy. The construction season is going well for us. Sure you've all seen the state flower, our orange cone out there. So I'm sure people are getting frustrated with seeing it, but also it's a nice sign of progress out there. I also want to just reinforce our safety message of buckle up, phone down. I'm complying with it. My kids make sure I comply with it when I go visit them and things like that. So I hope you're spreading the word out there, and we're working with businesses and schools to reinforce that message out there. You see that distracted driving is a significant influence on the number of crashes that we have out there. So I indicated I met with the governor yesterday. On Monday, he and myself will be visiting 3 communities, Norfolk, Columbus, and Fremont, to discuss the expressway system and the progress being made. This comes out of a meeting that we had in spring with 3 senators to discuss the progress that we're making on the expressways, and felt that it would be good to meet with those local communities and business leaders within those communities to explain the progress. So I think it looks pretty promising. We're doing a lot of work in that area. I think it'll be a good meeting for those communities as they look at future development within the community and region. Other things that we're working on are utility coordination. There was legislation proposed last year to really look at the helping in terms of utility coordination. Nationally is always an issue in projects as we're trying to build projects, design projects, coordinating with the utility companies that have taken the opportunity of either locating within our right-of-way or may have to relocate them as we acquire right-of-way. Coordination is extremely important in terms of the time schedule and risks that a contractor takes on ourselves too. So we've been having meetings with the EGC along with our utility partners and the ways to streamline and communicate better and figure out how we can coordinate through plan development sheets. I think some utility companies are more sophisticated than others in trying to understand or being able to look at plan sheets. Some are not. So trying to figure out all avenues, along with also having annual meetings with the utilities explaining our upcoming projects for the current year and the following year. So we're hoping that would be a better solution than trying to legislate something that would be much difficult, I think, to give us the agility to change processes if they so we're working out that way. Other things on the federal side, and we got Rusty here, there's a couple of issues that we're dealing with right now. One is NEPA assignment 326, which Nebraska has taken assignment for CE's categorical exclusions. On that, an MOU is required, and the MOU is valid for a 3-year period and then needs to be re-upped. As we're looking at it right now, we've been working with Federal Highway, and it appears that we're going to have a slight gap in our ability to continue assignment for a couple of weeks, 2 to 3 weeks or so. Right now, our MOU has been agreed upon, but it's out for public comment, and looking at getting those comments. At this point, we're not seeing any significant comments that would impact the MOU, but it does look like there'll be a gap for a couple of weeks, which will impact an October letting. Should not impact anything in terms of construction, but we're working with the industry to make sure that they're aware. Hopefully, with comments come back and we can proceed with our next 3 years. The other thing, I was on a conference call yesterday about the Highway Trust Fund. So there's word out now that the drawdown on the Highway Trust Fund took a significant dip recently, and Federal Highway USDOT is looking at putting in some financial management procedures. Basically, these kick in when the trust fund goes, looks like it's going to hit $1 billion, and they like to put in procedures a month before they believe that's going to happen. So at this point, they're thinking that if trends continue and Congress does not have a continuing resolution for the infrastructure bill, that these mitigation strategies get started in early October. What the discussion is at this time. I think looking at our cash balance and things like that, as long as this doesn't continue too long, we should be all right. It shouldn't be an impact to us. So hopefully Congress does get to some sort of agreement, and we proceed on and build big projects. Looks like we're going to have a good presentation today. Our highway program in District 6, and those are my comments.
Thank you. Any questions? Jim, comments from the local commissioner?
Yeah, I'd just like to thank everybody for coming to the North Platte, District 6. I've had the opportunity to work on transportation issues most of my career. And I would tell you that Gary and his people over here did a great job addressing the needs of the community in the area. For that, I wish to thank you. Also, I see a couple of familiar faces here. Eric Seacrest is here joining us today. He's been very active in transportation issues time in this area. And I see Donna Tryon's here, who's the name of our city council. So we also thank you for showing up and this and listening to what plans are for the next year and get an update on some of the things that are going on throughout District 6. So with that, I'll conclude so that Mr. Chairman, we can get on.
Okay. Well, the next time is District 6 presentations. Gary? And Gary, I did not introduce your local staff. I assumed that you would do that, so. Okay.
If I make it. Well, again, I want to thank everybody for coming to North Platte and to District 6. It's always a pleasure to see all of you to talk about events and highlight all of the activities that we've been up to. as usual, we are extremely busy, and that just really goes to show how much dedication this department has. Keeping goods and people moving throughout Nebraska, you know, it's our economy lifelong. We all recognize that. So I'd like to introduce Cameron Craig. He's our district construction engineer. Karen Sweetberg is our Untitled administrative technician. She runs our office for us. Thomas Thornton is our project delivery engineer. Calvin Arnott is our traffic engineer. He actually covers the western half of the state of Nebraska. So he has a lot of caps to wear. Roger Plasma, my district operations and maintenance manager, unfortunately is not here. His mom is not here, so he was spending time with her. So his part of the presentation, because I actually did break it up a little bit this year. Mojam Sheedy, our operations deputy, has agreed to do his part. Roger's part, so Matt. So with that, we're going to go to the PowerPoint. And not going to read through all of this by any means, but just some of the statistics for us. You know, some of the highlights there. We have 193 bridges that we maintain. We have almost 3,000 lane miles on the system. We actually have the largest portion of the interstate system of all districts. We have 155 miles. That does include about 3.5 miles of I-76 out to Colorado. And our NSIs, they're the pavement conditions. We're at about 84, a little over 84, target's 85. So we are always looking at pavement conditions, and it definitely drives our program. We have about 156 employees, and of those, I can turn it on. If you would like.
There we go.
Does it really need to be that loud? 156 employees, and of those, about 122 CDL operators. For our winter activities and those kind of things, we virtually use just about everybody in the district that you can see. Our administrative people, a few other individuals that may be exempt from the CDL. We virtually use everybody because that's what it takes to get the job done. So. And I am going to skip ahead just a little bit here. That was actually Roger's portion, and I will go back to it. We're now going to Thomas. I'm going to have Cameron talk about the activities that we've been doing for the last 2 years since we met. Then I will come back up and talk about our next 2 years. So, as long as we can get by our budgets. Wonders of modern technology. Okay, hopefully they're very good.
Hey, good morning. Yeah, Cameron Craig, I'm the local construction engineer. Our state flower on me in this particular area. We got a lot of orange cones, so Thanks for letting us give a little presentation on our current construction highlights in the past year and what's going on today. First project through here is our Big Springs West project out on the interstate. This is a multi-year interstate reconstruction, which includes about 4.5 miles of Interstate 80, segment 76 that Gary was talking about. It is a $44.5 million contract. As you can see here is the original interstate configuration. Driving factor of this project originally is it was pavement condition. The age of the pavement and condition no longer would accept the typical repair and overlay as a cost-effective long-term strategy. So once that decision was the driving force, then we can look at other functional issues with the system and change itself. So the original configuration, I'm sure everybody here has driven it many times. I-76 was basically the preferred through route. And I-80 had to exit I-80 eastbound, come in and come over I-76 and around. There's a flyover reconstruction. So you can see I-80 is over there. Some of the functional issues that the NDOT reviewed is, let's talk about traffic. I-76 and I-80, actually, there's about a 50-50 split on actual traffic numbers on the ADT, but I-80 itself carries over 60% of the heavy truck traffic. So with that being said, we have some history. I-80 eastbound ramp that would come over the top. Used to be 2 lanes, trucks tangle, have a crash, interstate would be closed for a long duration while we're cleaning it up. So the new configuration makes I-80. This is a busy slide, and the main point here is I-80 is now the preferred route, and it'll be on grade. It'll no longer go over the bridge. So we'll come over and it'll just kind of go under. I-76 will actually exit to the right about 3/4 mile back here and take a large 2-lane ramp. I-76 eastbound just come straight in and merge into a 4-lane section. So here is about present day. Majority of the concrete pavement is placed, except for a tie-in section right there, I-80. And I-80 or I-76 eastbound has been shifted over to the new lanes, so it's no longer in 2-lane, 2-way configuration. We expect construction of the concrete getting back to a more normal traffic pattern mid to late September. This project was a 3-year project, so it's scheduled to go into 2022. But current rate, we expect that the project could be completed this fall or winter. Okay, next project we talk about is a completed project in Custer County. This is the Kingsley Viaduct. It included the concrete pavement replacement and brand new superstructure for BNSF Railroad. One of the unique challenges on this particular project is unsuitable soils that were underneath this area. So when the original bridge prior to this was built, the fill was put in, pressed, and now actually lifted the soils up in the railroad track area. So with that, that's a challenge when we needed to build this new bridge, but we also had to widen. So a unique solution from our geotech engineers, use of lightweight geofoam block. We used a lot. There was truckload after truckload of these blocks. Basically, you put them in, not like Legos, but similar stacks, and then we came up all the way at the slope. And you covered it with a little over a foot of topsoil to get your grass going. That does, is it doesn't basically put the weight on those unsuitable soils. North Platte area bridges. I drove over Jefferson Street Viaduct last night to see one of the bridges on this project. This is a multi-bridge repair and preservation project. $3.9 million contract with the 4 bridges in North Platte, Lincoln County area. Picture of Newberry Link on the South Platte River Bridge. Just a demonstration of the repair here. This is Jefferson Street Viaduct where we're repairing expansion joints. After all repairs, each bridge, 3 of them already have, but this one will also receive a waterproof member and asphalt overlay that helps preserve the shed for the future. This project will be completed this early fall. The 2021 construction program, some of those are tough to read. We have several asphalt mill and resurface projects going on. Halsey West and East, Eustis, Cozad, Lexington North, South, Westerville East. We'll touch on the rural reconstruction project here shortly, and along with area building. Cracks Hill, Asphalt project called Triangle 1. It's a little over 12.5 mile project on Highway 97. This is the first of 3 on the corridor between Tryon and Mullen. Projects. The reason why we wanted to show this one was the challenging aspect of construction. It's the Dismal River Valley. It's a picture of construction. It's an old bituminous sand road, very, very narrowing in base terms for a roadway. And the unique challenge of it is wide roadways, but it's Dismal River itself. This video was taken just after construction and airport work was going. You can see here is the Dismal River comes in Highway 97. It's 2 separate branches. Lines in continues downstream. So we couldn't widen the dirt and get into the river here. So to overcome this challenge, the designers came up with a sheet pile retaining wall. 5-foot sheets put in the ground. They're held back by helical pile, which are very difficult to see in this, but they're installed. They're installed basically screwed into the soil below. Those will be those tied back wall product. Here's almost current day. See there. Got the wall completed. See asphalt production on north. This project is also on pace to be completed ahead of schedule. Should be completed in late fall to early winter. Overall, this is another interstate reconstruction project driven by pavement condition. Also includes the rural link, South Platte River Bridge. Picture of the previous picture of what's currently going on. The contractor is currently paving as we speak. This is the first year of construction. The project itself will have two years of major construction. It's the third spring for mechanical work. It's a $46.9 million project. It's a little over 10 miles long and includes the link. It also includes new rest area truck parking. So the new overall eastbound rest area project is currently being built. It's being built in conjunction with the road overall project. It's a separate contract itself. Show the old eastbound rest area. These facilities, they functionally do not serve the traffic needs traffic code provides. For instance, the old the old rest area had truck parking for 8 trucks, about 40 cars. So our new design, the new rest area, is being built off-site. We'll have 60 truck parking stalls, 50 cars, and 8 RV stalls. Facility is scheduled to be opened this fall or early winter when the Interstate Reconstruction project is completed. With that, I'm going to turn it back over to Gary, and again, thank you for your time. Mr. President. Ask any questions?
Cameron, did I hear you say that junction project out there this year?
Yeah. Commissioner Haas, the actual contract time allowance does allow them to go into the spring of 2022. Contractor has scheduled and has indicated that they'd like to complete this year.
I know I've got a lot of comments out there about it.
Jim, we should be on the head-to-head traffic. We should be back to normal traffic by mid to late September. So as far as traffic flows and normal patterns and all that, we're almost to the end of the It's going to be a huge improvement. It's been challenging. That project had more phases and more jumping around than I think any project. Well, I know that any project that District 6 has built. So really, really good safety project with its stuff. No doubt about it.
I agree. I had just gotten a lot of comments in the past, and I think to feel their confusion about coming into that off 76 and detouring. Anyway, thanks.
Yeah, when will the ramp be open to 76? So if I'm heading east on 80 and I want to go to Denver.
East on 80, you want to go back to Denver. Okay, so the 2 connector ramps, they won't be open until basically the same time to be out head-to-head because of the phasing. So be projected earliest probably mid-September, most likely maybe late September. Thank you.
Let's get back. With our construction program, we also always have what we consider our system preservation activities, which is really what our 112 maintenance folks do during their non-winter season. And actually, even during the winter season, we're still doing a lot of system preservation. That's like the best time to do some of the crack sealing, those kind of things. That picture here is where we're doing blade patching with cold mixed windrow material that we blend ourselves, make ourselves. The other 2 photos here. We have an asphalt zipper, which is really just a mill head that you put on the front of a loader that you can mill about 2 inches and you put asphalt back in it. We use a spreader box out of the back of the truck that was developed locally by our own people. Those kind of things, just trying to maintain our surfacing until a construction project. So we virtually get somewhere in the neighborhood of about 7 years out of these activities, which is a lot of people would call that armor coating. We consider that chip sealing anymore because we're using a lightweight aggregate. Our armor coating that uses local gravels lasts us about 3 years on average. This expanded shale, we're getting 5 to 7 years out of. So it is more expensive. It uses more oil, but we get a lot more life out of it. And to be quite honest with you, that's important to us because it's very difficult from a manpower standpoint to not get those kind of lives out of them. And crack sealing, keeping the water out of our joints, those kind of activities. So this is showing nothing more than we're very busy throughout the entire district. Everything from what I just talked about, from crack sealing to fog seals to armor coating and chip seals and those kind of things. And it's really what keeps our system alive and our driving surface in a condition that keeps our traveling public safe and extends the life of our vehicles. I also wanted Roger to talk about our intelligent transportation projects. We have a tremendous amount of ITS elements out there anymore, and we're adding more. And the traveling public really is demanding of us, and that's pretty much an understatement. They want to be informed. They want to be able to see with their own eyes what's going on. They want to be communicated with, and these are some of the best devices we have. This project will be in the 2022 program, so it's coming up very soon. We're really adding these side mount dynamic message signs where we usually put our portables. So these will be static signs built in place, and going to be a tremendous benefit to us for, again, communications. We're adding additional overhead DMSs on the interstate. When this is done, the ones added at Sutherland, Gothenburg, and Sutherland and Gothenburg, basically eastbound and westbound, really completes our major interchanges. Those places where we're trying to communicate traffic flows and or closures, those kind of things on the interstate. And we're also adding a tremendous amount of cameras. We have a lot of cameras out there. I wish I knew the number, but we basically try to put cameras in any place that we have a difficult time visualizing or knowing what's going on with the roadway system, especially our winter conditions. So most of the cameras are not at like a junction or something like that. They're in between. So that we can see what's going on. We can respond to events quicker. Those type of things. Here's a project that I have literally been working on since I became a district engineer in 2005, and we're actually going to see it start. It's going to be let this fall still and start construction because of the number of sites. But basically what we're doing is we're adding variable speed advisory signs at every interchange throughout the system. District 5 has already got their project underway. This is a District 6 project. It's a means of communicating what an acceptable speed is based off of the conditions. And this is more for a winter event type activity. They'll all be connected through fiber, so that they ought to be very reliable. Our future is to hope to be able to communicate to the traveling public what we believe a safe traveling speed is based on conditions. A lot of people see the 75 mile an hour and think that's what they need to be traveling. We know for a fact there's many times that 50 mile an hour or 55 is more of an acceptable speed. we see a lot of wintertime accidents on I-80 because you have 20 or 30 vehicles in a row that are traveling at the same speed. And you have one individual that thinks that they need to travel 75. And they white out everybody behind them and cause secondary accidents, those kind of things. So I think that this, from a safety standpoint, that this is one of my #1 projects that I realize that I'm going to be extremely proud of. So. Skip forward to our that rest area. I don't know if you've seen that, but that's quite the building. That glass front is facing to the west. And as travelers are coming into Nebraska, especially out of Colorado, that's going to be one of the very first things they see. And we as a department basically made an administrative decision. I believe that's the correct statement, that you will not see another one quite like this, but I still think this is a really, really good gateway building for the state of Nebraska. I want to talk about the 2022 construction highlights. The program is on our website. If you have not seen our book yet, there at the bottom is a link to it. It's actually pretty easy to find. If you go onto our website and go into the media portion of our website, it's extremely easy to find. So if you're curious about not only my program, but for the state as a whole, the program book is out there. So I'll just run down through the list of projects in 22. Thetford West on Highway 2 is a asphalt overlay, basically just a no system preservation. New driving service is basically what it is. Halsey to Dunning, Highway 2, exact same thing. Just new driving service. Anselmo to Myrna. I've had a lot of public input about this project. 2 years ago, this pavement really started falling apart. My maintenance guy, people have been out there multiple times, just trying to carry this project until we got it to level, and we let it yesterday. It looked to me like the bids were good. So I'm sure that this will be under construction next year, and it's not a day too soon. This is a Highway 26 project, guarding the Keith County line. Lots and lots of truck traffic south of McConaughey. This is the first of 3 projects. We'll build them in succession again, as we typically do, as the life of the pavement dictates it. Well, Nebraska on Highway 30. This is probably the last concrete overlay on Highway 30 for us. It's number 7 for us. Those pavements, that concrete overlay is really starting to show its value. We're getting just by all appearances, we're going to be able to get probably 20 to 25 years out of those pavements before we have to touch them again. So when we first started down the process of these thin lift overlays, 5 inches for most of them, it's 6 on one of them. The amount of money that we are spending on them, it really made you take a step back and wonder if it's the right engineering solution for Highway 30. But I can tell you today that it is. That first project into Sutherland now is 13 years old, I believe, but they're right in there, and we have not touched it. So really good value. North Lightings Bridge. This is the river bridge going out to the airport. There's some structural issues with that bridge. It is what really the driving force is, but our intent is to completely redeck it. And that was let yesterday. Guess we'll see whether that one's awarded. It did come in a little high, gotta be honest. Kingsley Dam and Kingsley Dam South, actually two projects, but for the traveling public, they will not even be able to recognize it because the Kingsley Dam South is, back up here just a little bit, because it goes all the way from the north side of McConaughey across the dam. We're going to do a little bit of concrete repair. Did some concrete repair about 5 years ago. This is a follow-up to make sure that we've got completely sound concrete across the dam. And then we'll grind it and seal it, and hopefully it'll be a really long-term solution. We won't have to touch the pavement across the dam for a long time. And the Kingsley Dam South is a again, pavement project that does go all the way to the junction of Highway 30. So. Gothenburg to Kozak is an interstate project. We are going to be doing, it's really a pavement extension type activity. We're going to do some concrete repair, then a thin lift overlay on it. Really just being able to carry that pavement in an acceptable condition until a reconstruction project. Tryon North, Kit Cameron talked about the Tryon to Mullen, that center section, which is just north of this. We got Tryon North, and Tryon North does include, it goes all the way to the junction of 92 there. And that sweeping curve that if you are southbound on that curve, you have to take a pretty sharp over your right shoulder in a yield position right here. And it's just not safe. So we are eliminating that curve. We're going to go into a T intersection right here. So that's really the only major change. Although we are, again, as with the middle project, we're widening. We're curb and flume. It will be a modern highway. The public has addressed speed limits, asked for speed limit changes here many times. And once this project and the additional Mullen South, so everything from Mullen to Tryon, when these two projects are built, will be completed. We should be able to adjust speeds, again, modern highway, modern speeds. Lexington Overton crossovers, this getting prepared for I-80 reconstruction, Lexington Overton. Picture of slip ramps there for interchanges and stuff. Just a few brief highlights of the 23 construction program. As we go around, you can't see that far. Tryon West, first of three projects between Arthur and Tryon. That portion of 92 across has not ever been touched since it was originally built with bituminous sand road. So we're literally talking back in the late 40s and early 50s. And my maintenance people have been able to maintain it through weight patching and armor coating, crack sealing, and those kind of things. But we're starting to lose the edge of the roadway. So I programmed Tryon West as the first of three projects, and we'll continue as we go across. Well, can't see. Stand up front. Well, overall, Roscoe Crossovers is another project getting prepared for our overall Roscoe reconstruction. That pavement is absolutely starting to show its age. Just as soon as we can finish ruled over while I've been, we come right back with overall Russell. First North Platte, Highway 30 project, again, it's just a paving project. Not a lot of details there. Wallace North, same thing, new driving service. Lake Maloney South, that is our first Super 2 project for District 6. So that project goes all the way from out by Prairie Mart, out by Lake Maloney School, all the way down to the junction of 23. That intersection there at Lake Maloney School, we're also reconfiguring that quite a bit. But there's been some accidents there. There was a fatality there, a really close friend of mine. And so a lot of improvements there, a lot more passing opportunities, those kind of things. So I know the public is really looking forward to that. And Kurt from District 7 was talking about the other segments and those kind of things. Let's see. I-80 South here is the route to Fort Mcpherson, National Cemetery. There's 2 bridges there that need a lot of work. So really looking forward to that project. Another local project is the one-ways here in town, the Phillip to First and Leota to Phillip. Those are complete reconstruction projects down through the heart of North Platte. We are going to be building the southbound lanes for 23 and 24. Then we'll skip a year and we will be doing the northbound in 26 and 27 is the way of that program. So, Broken Bow East, Highway 70, that's from the junction of Highway 2 there right on the east side of Broken Bow. I have built that project now 3 times in my career, and it is challenging every time because the soil types over there just don't lend itself to a long-term pavement. We are constantly patching. We are constantly doing something over there to try to hold that pavement. A lot of springs underneath that pavement, those kind of things, a lot of water. So I'm really looking forward to that project. So Farmers and Merchant Canal, that's that little canal bridge right there between the interchange of Cozad and as you go into downtown Cozad. That's replacing the bridge with box culvert. Something to note, although it's not on the highway system, but it's an LPA project. That's the Lexington East Viaduct project, right there on the east edge of Lexington. There's been that project has been talked about for a good 10 years. It's finally coming. Lexington to Overton Reconstruction, that's again built the crossovers the year before. Something to note on our reconstruction projects, you're probably going to see a change because the department now, through our materials and research engineer and our administration, we are going to start putting white topping on the interstate. 8-inch dowel reinforced. We're not going to remove full depth, and it should help our costs for those pavement projects, and it should shorten our time when we're out there. So our first project is, I don't think this is our first one though. I think this is a full depth, but I think this is our last full depth that we have scheduled. So we started the program, the other segments as again, an 8-inch dowel reinforced white topping. Really looking forward to that to see, longevity, ease of construction, those kind of things. Again, it should shorten our construction schedule quite a bit for these reconstruction projects. So, and we're just highlighting that project. That actually is not ours. That's the District 4's project there, the next segment. That is the end of our construction program, and I'm more than willing to take any questions. Yes.
At the top of your presentation, you mentioned the NSI target or the NSI condition being just slightly below target. What kind of impact will all this work have on that? Is that enough to move the needle at all?
You know, the challenging part is the goal is to move you, as you refer to it. But because as pavements age, because it just doesn't move in one direction. And every segment is on a 2-year cycle is judged for condition, and that always moves it. So we have been hopping around that 85 range for as long as I can move. So the goal is to, yes, absolutely.
So you're constantly playing catch up.
So, yeah.
And the variable speed, which I appreciate that project, what influences the setting of the speed limit? You, another one of your engineer, I mean, how is that decision made? And then is it legally enforced? Or is it legally enforceable?
Well, right now by state statute, we're not really allowed to do the variable. So that's why this project is slated to be advisory signs.
Got it.
Our intent is in the future to seek legislation that changes that. Wyoming has had a similar system in place for about 10 years. And they have absolutely seen the benefits of the variable speed that is set based off of conditions, and most of it is weather conditions. And they've seen a decrease in accidents and fatalities because of it. So the intent is that there will be a lot of pavement sensors that feed into a system so that managers can adjust the speed to what it's basically back to a 95th percentile or 85th percentile of what the traveling public at the time are traveling. So if we're seeing the majority of the travelers traveling at 60 miles an hour, which is how our speeds are set anyway for one of the warrants for speed limits, and yet you see the individuals that are 65 and 70 and 80 mile an hour, and that's really who's causing the accidents. And if we can get to a regulatory speed limit on the interstate that is enforceable, black on white, then we can post what is a reasonable speed, and you constantly are watching the speeds of the entire system. And when you start seeing travelers start picking up speed, then you start looking at conditions, and do you adjust the speed as you go? Absolutely. Do you bring it back down as the conditions warrant? Absolutely. So when we can start doing those things, then it is going to really help the safety of the traveling public, because we recognize that there is a tremendous amount of travelers out there that don't understand that just because it says 75, that 75 is a safe speed. So
We intend to seek legislation coming up this month.
Then I assume after the fact, you'll monitor, evaluate, and hopefully fatalities.
absolutely, under normal conditions, it'll be 75. I mean, it will be that. It's when, and I don't always want to use winter events, because it isn't always winter events. We've seen some pretty substantial dust storms that we would be able to react very quickly to that and get people to start slowing down way before they ever get to the actual event, because those I mean, even winter storm events are very localized. That doesn't typically affect the entire system. So.
I drive with my navigator on. You can speak. So when you get the legislation.
Well, what I'm told though is the way that your navigator is picking that up is it's physically reading the sign. It's not based on location, it's based on the sign in front of you. It's the reflectivity of that sign. So I don't know how, I've never quite heard that part of it. How when the vehicle is reading the speed limit sign, whether these by reflectivity will, I would assume we can pick that up because it's really a camera that's picking it up speed and feeding the information to the computer of your vehicle.
We intend to share all of our data with all of these platforms that you have. So if there is a connection, a real-time connection, they will be able to get all information and update it. But we still have to wait and see how that will.
That's an interesting question.
Well, Google and Apple are doing that now because when I'm driving with my Android phone on, Android Auto, it tells me if I can see ahead, the road goes red. If there's a slowdown on the interstate. Yep. So it's getting that from some of you guys' traffic management systems somewhere.
It's getting it from your smartphone.
Okay, is that where it's
your smartphone is being fed back to their systems for your travel speed?
That's how it's reading.
You can ask your locator in order to read it. Most people travel with an locator.
Actually, the speed limit, regulatory
Right.
numbers,
That's a different.
that's a different thing.
Gary, a couple of comments and a question. First of all, I'm glad to see that we're finally going to get a segment of the Super 2. That's something that we've talked about for really as long as I've been in North. So I'm glad to see that happening. I know I've seen of yours down there. It's a great project. Situation between here and Cook. Are a lot of truck traffic. Farming seasons too. So again, I commend the department. Super 2, something. Another comment, and you mentioned the ONES project, and I don't know, Sarah, maybe this is going to be part of what you report about the public meeting that will be coming. Give the public some more information about how. That
you're talking about our indoor plat.
Yeah.
So our projects. Yes, we do have a public meeting coming up.
And again, I didn't know, Sarah, if you were going to mention that or not, but I know there'll be a lot of interest in that. And then the question I had, Gary, is that I've also had a lot of questions concerning the replacement of the bridge deck out here on Highway 30 going to the airport. That be done staged so that you can maintain traffic, or will traffic be encouraged to detour around on what we call School Road? Because with construction of the National Guard Center out there, you and I have had a lot of discussions about that.
The project, for the most part, is going to be built under traffic. There will be temporary signals out there during the entire phasing of the project. It's the bridge deck itself, the replacement is going to be built half the time. So traffic will be down to one lane that they share with temporary signal. Our bridge engineers convinced that the vibration of the traveling public over the bridge during the cure period, or when the bridge deck is actually placed, it's not good business practice for a long-term durable deck. So there's going to be 3 periods of 10 days that the traffic is going to be detoured. That detour route is actually I-80 to Maxwell and back, which is a very long detour route. But Lincoln County commissioners have reached out to me and asked if the Hall School Road could be used. And I said, well, you know, the locals that know that that route will be using it anyway. And they told me that they were going to sign it for it too. So.
You know, and you know as well as I do, the condition of that road, once it puts you an accurate crossing, that you have to deal with there.
But honestly, Jim, it's three, what I would consider three very short periods of time. It's only during the deck pour and the cure period, about 7 days, so 10 days in total for 3 periods. And the reason it's 3 periods is because it's a closure pour from the left and right lanes. So, but we also have it in our contract that the contractor must allow emergency service vehicles across at all times. So.
Question I had, part of that, Gary, also discussed this on numerous occasions when we were negotiating with the garden out there, readiness center out there. There were some changes that needed to be done to where you were able to scale way station was.
No, Jim, we worked out a bit of that out with them.
So they're gonna come in off.
Yep, and their new intersection actually is built up. So,
Right, but I didn't know there was still gonna be work. Because originally they wanted access.
yeah, we worked out a bit of that out with their engineers, so. Well,
Other questions? Thank you, Gary.
you're welcome.
I guess one,
One more.
you talked about Super 2, and since both of you are here, is there a timeline when 83 will be fully completed?
Yes, 2032 is the last project. We're building it, Commissioner, based on pavement needs. And just as we started the Super 2, we overlaid the segment right north of McCook. So it'll be the last one in 2032 as our schedule currently stands. So the next project you'll see that Gary talked about, right south of North Platte, will be in 23. And then the year after that, we'll do from Wellfleet south to the piece we already completed at 3 after.
All right. Next item on the agenda is public input. We do have one letter from the public that I believe Sarah needs to read into the record.
Yes, and I put a copy of it in each of your folders, if you wanted to see it. Ty Lucas, North Platte City Council member, couldn't make it, so he had sent in his comments. He had several concerns with constituents in North Platte, which also led to visiting with the mayor regarding the length of traffic delay that were occurring at the intersection of Interstate 80 and Interstate 76 near Big Springs. We are aware of occasions where traffic was stalled for 30 to 90 minutes during the heavy travel season due to the construction activities in the area. He's also aware of people that have missed flights to Denver International due to these delays. Hotel, convenience store, and restaurant owners have been concerned that travelers who typically cross Nebraska using I-80 may be looking for alternate routes versus traveling through the area due to the long wait times. Hopefully this will resolve soon, but our local business owners and residents would appreciate anything your commission can do to try and reduce the traffic delay problems that travelers are experiencing. And again, that was from Ty Lucas. He covers Ward 2 of the City Council, so.
Okay. I think you guys already addressed that as far as the intersection out there, so we need more discussion on that to answer that. But anybody here would like to make some public comments? Sure, come ahead. Would you please come up and, or they'll give you, would you state your name and spell your last name? Yeah, just, it is a public hearing, so we want to be sure we get, and if you're representing, I know you're representing the city council, please.
City Council Woodland. I just want to commend folks for trying to make I-80 safer. posted 75 speed limit, but much of it. So, thank you. Okay, that's all I wanted to say.
Good morning. Seacrest, North Platte. Director, as the governor did last night, I hope he was congratulating you on making the state of Nebraska look good. He was doing a lot of things that are making our state look good. Also, to say you scared me. You said that we were depending on Congress acting, and that really made me frightened. Hope they do and, keep things moving. Thank you for having our friend Jim Hawks here, keeping him engaged in community service in his retirement years. It's always good to see you. Been coming to these things for a long time. I'm an old guy now. What a change. Talking about variable speed limits and vehicle navigation links. This is just so different than it was, and it's a good thing. Grateful for the continuity of competence that we've had at the state level and here in our district. I'm sure that happens around the state. Cannot overemphasize the importance of good roads, well-being of this state. And we're just so grateful too for the people who build, maintain, and police these roads. This is the thing that has brought us from life trains into the good life we have. Nebraska's location along the prime east-west Interstate 80 corridor is one of the state's greatest advantages and not be overemphasized. It has brought us so much good and prosperity, and safety. And I also share our Councilwoman Ryan's comment about speeds. Anybody who's been traveling years in the state has noticed the traffic is moving faster. I don't have a solution, but I hope you smart people do come up with a solution because it is not a safe thing. The other thing that's important to never forget is that congestion or disruption anywhere on I-80 disrupts this entire state. Problem in Omaha, Texas down here. Problem on the interstate at Grand Island will affect all kinds of areas of the state. It is the most important thing to maintain free-flowing, safe traffic. West of Lincoln, if traffic congestion can be minimized by adding additional lanes, please start doing it. Started it, you're gonna have to continue it, but as long as you can keep the traffic moving, this thing will work. Now they're just gonna need improvements by more lanes. And for sure, you deserve our support for the many things you've done in recent years and hope will continue to do. Adding traffic lanes, lengthening merging lanes, expanding truck parking, improving rest areas, the cameras, dynamic message signs. And I'm really excited. After years about talking about it, we're gonna have variable speed advisory signs. We also have the situation where interstate interchanges, now they can get clogged. They were built many years ago, and maybe traffic conditions change. We have that situation here. East of here, we have the interchange and the Newberry access. And this access has just kept growing in terms of traffic and development of towns. We have lots of large trucks. There's 2 truck stops out there moving through that, and they crawl through that. And got all sorts of new hotels out there, and the need for capacity improvement continues to increase. It's been recognized. It was recognized maybe 5 years ago and added to a state priority list. But we still need some action. More development is expected. It's very likely there will be a feed packing plant out there. There's a proposal for a racetrack casino in the vicinity. Simply put, Newberry access from the I interchange all the way north to US 30 needs improvement. US 83 is the key north-south highway from North Platte south to the Kansas border. The public and commercial truckers can be served really well on this hilly portion of 83 with the Super 2 highway, with sufficient travel lanes, surface shoulders, and safe intersections. Large trucks have become a major part of the traffic on this. Increases the traffic penalty. This highway serves a major fuel depot south of North Platte. Great many fuel trucks use this in both directions. I live out there. I have a 7-minute drive to this meeting. I saw 4 fuel trucks. That's the way it is all day. In addition to that, we have oversized vehicles. This is a prime north-south route for oversized vehicles because it's all overhead obstructions. Virtually every day we see several oversized vehicles coming through. And guess what? We also have morning fog. Combine all these things, you've got real safety problems. It calls for the additional traffic lanes and also calls for turning lanes and acceleration lanes at key intersections, especially where there are site limitations. In one intersection, and that is the intersection of 83, South Maloney, and Brown Road. Every year I will probably see at least one near crisis. Because something is stopped at that intersection. Somebody comes over the hill. Smart people who live out there learn. If you want to turn left, sometimes the only safe thing to do is turn right and get off the highway. Maybe you turn. We've talked about the Super 2 for decades. The light is going, it's happening. It's time to finish the job. Nebraskans expect treatment that's equitable in highway funding and projects. That applies all over the state. And this is one of your key roles, is to make sure it is equitable. All parts of the state are being fairly treated. It's in a sparsely area that we made one of the great improvements in the report. probably the worst highway in the state was, road highway between Tryon and Walnut. It was a dreadful highway, lower speed. It wasn't even safe to drive at posted lower speed. And think of finishing. It's a sparse part of the state, but it's important. It's important to those people. It's important also to people going to some very fancy golf courses in that area. North Platte is a very unusual place. Surrounded by two rivers, North Platte and South Platte, divided by the world's busiest railroad and the world's largest railroad yard. Basically, there was only 7 roads into and out of North Platte. This causes drivers to use inefficient routes. It is a potential for an emergency bomb. If we ever have a terrible thing in the railroad yard. We ask that the Department of Transportation work with local governments to study and designate a corridor. Future I-80 interchange somewhere west of North Platte. 13 miles separate the interchange here, right where we are, and the one in Hershey. The average on the interstates between here and Lincoln is 7 miles. A western corridor would reduce congestion, it would reduce wasted miles, and it would also reduce expense on the busy 83 corridor, which is where almost all the accidents in this area happen. The state has, in its recent decades, realized it's important to add a new interchange when it makes sense. Made incredible benefits by some of these interchanges, like the one at, near South Bend, Albany State Park, Newbury Access, which is the reason why there's a Walmart distribution center in Nebraska as opposed to some other state. The one on North 22nd Street in Lincoln, the one on Locust Street in south of Grand Island, and the new east interchange near Kearney. It is hard to fully appreciate the incredible benefits of appropriately added new interchange. We certainly could use one here. We are expecting a new rail industrial park west of North Platte, between North Platte and Hershey. There are many reasons why this would be beneficial. I am fortunate, I am representing the Chamber of Commerce today. The president of the Chamber, Gary Pearson, is Lincoln, hopefully stirring up economic activity for this part of the state. And I wanted to thank you for the chance to address you. And again, we applaud the fine people of the Department of Transportation who are working to make Nebraska even better. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Eric. Any questions? Okay. Thank you.
One follow-up for your comment on South County for the Brown Road and Lincoln. That is an improved intersection. It does get left turn lanes and south or northbound on the right. So once again, this should be doing good stuff. Every once in a while we get one.
It's great to see so many familiar faces here. Thank you. Never retire. Anybody else? Unless we have a employee that wants to make a comment. Okay. I have no remarks from the chair. Is there anybody from the commission that has anything to add? Okay, Sarah, the public meetings calendar.
We do have one scheduled for the North Platte area, which was brought up a couple times, which is the One Ways project. It's First Street southbound and then Leota to Phillips southbound. That'll be September 14th. It's actually going to be here. That's easy to remember. And then the next Highway Commission meeting is scheduled for September 17th at 8:30 a.m. in Lincoln. And those are the two I've got for you.
Okay, thank you. With that, we are adjourned.
Bye, Dave.
Thank you. Bye.
Thanks, Dave.
Thank